get started, and I'm super excited and thankful. We have Paul McClain on the call with us today. Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Excited to be on with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today. And it never goes unnoticed because when you talk, I think everybody listens as they should. And really, Paul, I wanted you to hit on, if you don't mind, kind of just like structure, schedule, strategy, and plugging in, and kind of like really what that's meant to your business like over the years. I know that's a broad topic, but I know that you could definitely speak to it.
Okay. Well, hey, first of all, thank you for having me on. I mean, when I say it, I don't just say it just to like say it. I mean it every time I get a chance to hop on with you guys and speak to you. My goal is the same: is to do my best to provide some value and leave you better than you got on here, as far as just an understanding and maybe awareness of what to do, how to do it, maybe a different paradigm shift in your thought process. And so my goal is to serve you right now. And I know for a lot of you guys, as I'm looking around, like, Marisa, Yuri, and Zach, and Rami, you guys serve me. Every time I talk to you, or, maybe you're not aware of it, but I'm intentionally trying to figure out something I could pick up from you and then use it. And that's been something that's been, I think, a part of my my structure and schedule from day one, is to always be learning. And that's kind of maybe out of order of how I should normally, go through a structured schedule. But the one thing I tell you guys, to grow and to be developing and to be learning, it's such an essential part of just how we're created. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like no matter what you can accomplish, the moment that you stop growing, the moment you stop giving, is the moment you start feeling kind of like just depressed, like you don't feel fulfilled, and I've seen that, a lot of times we think, hey, once we get here, then we'll feel great. And it's a lie, like you got to enjoy every bit of the journey. I love what the word says. And it says, like, don't despise small beginnings, rejoice in whatever that looks like. So for some of you, you're in a different spot in this business. Don might be in a different spot than Melissa or whatever, but that's okay. Enjoy where you're at. Not like where you're sitting back like, oh, I've arrived, and you've not even, taken the first step. What I'm saying is enjoy where you're at and be excited about where you're going, right? Have this right hope with confidence that and assurance that you're going to get there, because there's no reason why you can't if you just go out there and follow the systems and you follow the path that's been set before you. That's kind of communicated and talked about in every podcast and every training. It's this reiteration of like, hey, this is how it works, which is such a blessing to be a part of. So one thing I tell you with structure, schedule, discipline, and all that is, I do believe, like if Landon, called me and said, hey, man, what's the biggest reason you've seen in the last 15 years, people that are talented, they've got the ability, man, maybe they even got an advantage, like just whether it's their background, how good they are at connecting, their ability to persuade, whatever, they've got some abilities that are maybe more advanced than somebody else, but yet they fell, like they're no longer in the business. Because I've seen a lot of those people. What's the biggest thing that trips people up? I would say it's a lack of structure. It's a lack of having a schedule. That's the biggest thing. And I put this out the other day, and I really believe it. Like, we look at being self-employed. That's the whole self part. That's where you have to be the employer and the employee. And a lot of times we miss that. Everybody wants what sounds good. Everybody wants the end result or the payoff, which is self-employed. Man, I make my own schedule. I can put it together. I wake up when I want to wake up. I go do what I want to do when I want to do it. I could go out, unlimited income potential. Man, I could go work way more. And it's not like when I was working that job where the guy just said, good job, but I worked twice as much as the other jamoke over here. And that jamoke got to pay the same amount as I did. It's not, I could go out and make more. And then all of a sudden, boom, you become self-employed, and then you're like, all right, well, let me just get after it. And then you start going through the day, the motions, but without a schedule, without a plan, what you're left to do is whatever you feel like doing. So you don't even realize it, but you're like, you're going to your own demise because you're doing what you feel like doing. You know what I mean? And feelings are fleeting. If I did what I wanted to do all day, it would not be good. I'd be in prison and I'd go to hell. So like, we have to take control over and let our minds control the way we feel and make these predeterminations of, this is what I'm going to do. It's a non-negotiable. This is when I'm going to do it. And then focus on the payoff that's tied to the activity, not just I'm going to do whatever I feel like doing. Right. And so I think that, when you're given much, much is required. And every one of you've been given this gift of being self-employed, right? You could go out there and you can decide to make it to, your daughter's or your son's, basketball game and these things like that. But you always have to ask yourself, should I? And I'm not saying you shouldn't. To be honest with you guys, I made it to, a lot of the stuff for my kids, but I was very structured and disciplined going into it. And that was a reward. It wasn't a given, like I'm entitled to just go do what I want to do, to go to all these games and go do whatever I want. No, it was a reward. If I go up and if I start waking up at 4 a.m. and I get my dials done and I get my recruits done and I get everything locked in, well, then I've earned the right to go to that, basketball game or soccer game or whatever. And so I think in this business, Marisa, like it's either the most, like it's a highest paid position or it's the lowest paid. And most people think like, man, it's the highest paid, but also it's the lowest paid. And it's depending on what you do, what your activity looks like. It's also the most like fulfilling, rewarding, and the most depressing, meaning that when you do what you say you're going to do, right, it feels good. And when you're doing something and you feel like it's with purpose, and it's to get after something that's bigger, maybe like something that's bigger than yourself, that's invigorating, right? It's energizing. But if you're not, you're like, man, I know I need a dial today. You didn't dial. I know I need to invest $1,000 in you and leaves on a Sunday to prepare for Monday and you didn't do it. Man, I know I need a door knock between appointments and then you didn't do it. Man, I know I should have pulled over at 5 o'clock when I had the last snow show and dial from 5 to 8 o'clock and I didn't. Man, I know I need to be posting on social media if I want to, help other people, if I want to give other people the blessed shot that I've got to go out and make the money I can make and live the life I want to. I know I need to do that to build a business, to create freedom, to eventually get out. I know I need to post and DM and reach out. I should do that, schedule 1 hour a day. I know I need to do that, but you don't do it. What happens is this, like you start to feel pretty like depressed, right? You feel pretty down. Not because of lack of knowing, but it's because of the execution on that. And be clear, I've been there many times where I'm like, man, I know I need to be doing whatever you want to call it. For a long time with social media, I knew I needed to be adding to my story consistently and reaching out to people. I knew I needed to have my staff spend more time on social media and LinkedIn and all these different platforms instead of just hitting ZipRecruiter. I knew that. I heard it, but I just like didn't get above my awareness and change my intention and then put in place a plan to execute and take action on it. So therefore I continued to do it. In the back of my mind, I just didn't feel as great. I wasn't as fulfilled knowing that I was doing the same thing over and over again, expecting that the result would all of a sudden change. So schedule is everything. A schedule is everything. If a self-employed person without a schedule is unemployed, and eventually you're going to have to go get a job working for somebody if you don't really execute and realize that there's a lot of responsibility, there's a lot of sacrifice that's put into that prefix self-employed in self. Like there's a lot to go into that part of the self part. And so this is what I tell you guys that I think might help out quite a bit. Everybody has a goal on here as far as where you want to go, right? Maybe that's you want to help 40 families. Maybe it's you want to help 50 families. Maybe it's you want to have, new writer on your team every week. Maybe it's 3 new writers on your team every week. Maybe it's to go make your first sale. Maybe it's to hire your first agent. Everybody has some kind of idea of what they want. And I think generally speaking, everybody would say, I want to become an integrity partner. I want financial freedom. Like everybody kind of has those similar things. Now, you need to clarify specifically what goal you need to have right now. Like in the month of May right now, what does it look like in May? Like how many families do you want to go serve? Now, if you've been consistently serving 5 people a month, what you don't want to do is say, oh, I'm going to serve 40 this month. I'm not saying you can't do it, but if you've been consistently doing 5 or 8 and now you're going to go to 40, I'm not trying to, but what I'm saying is like a good goal is something that stretches you a little bit, but it's also realistic. In your mind, you can say, I can do that. I can grow at that level, right? Like I'm not confused if I'm going to go play basketball and I'm shooting 30% from the 3-point line. I'm like, I'm going to go to 90% a day. Watch out. You guys ready for this? 90%. Like I'd feel discouraged. I wouldn't be motivated by that. I'd probably not really put any more work, any more intention to actually get better, because I would probably think like, this ain't gonna happen, right? And so it's the same thing with a goal that's so easy, and you're like, I'm gonna go from helping 8 to 9. Well, that's kind of like, I mean, with all due respect, kind of pathetic, right? I mean, it's one more family. Like, you could do better than one more family for the whole. So you want to have something that you feel like I can hit it. It's not too easy, but it's not way pie in the sky. There's something about like a goal that's placed correctly that gives you energy to go out there and accomplish it. That gives you motivation to go out there and accomplish it. One on the other side, either side of that, too extreme, it does the opposite. It doesn't do anything positive. But have clarity on what goal you have. Now, the reality is this: once you've got a goal and it's put in place, the odds of you hitting that is significantly higher. Like, a lot of times people just, they think they know what they need to do, but it's so general that it doesn't ever really get them to fight and sacrifice and be more intentional and be more aware and make adjustments and corrections. They lack all that because there's no goal. It's just, I'm going to go help as many families as I can this month. Or they just say whatever they think they want to say. What I'd ask you guys to do this month is be really intentional. Like, what does that look like? I want to have one new writer a week. I want to have whatever that is. Again, it's for you guys. And everybody's in a different situation, meaning that as you come up with your goal, please don't look around to everybody else. They don't matter. What matters is you. What's progression for you? You start comparing yourself to everybody else, and that's just, debilitating. It just will cause you to like think that either you're insignificant, not good enough, cause you to be lazy and not make any adjustments and just stay where you're at. And a lot of it is a lie too, meaning that you start looking at what everybody else is doing and thinking like, well, look how great they are. You don't even know what their story looked like. It's like somebody watching my phone script now and like, and judging themselves. It's like, you'd have to judge my first year on the phones. You heard that, it would be very inspiring. In fact, you'd probably think you're better than you actually are, because you're like, that guy, sounds like an idiot. So comparing never works good. I mean, if you heard me for my first month and it's your first month, I guarantee you're better than I am. So you might think that you're better than you are and not grow and try to get any better, because you're like, well, dude, he's a Hall of Fame producer for 10 years. I'm good. Or if you compare yourself to how I do it 15 years down the road, you're like, oh my God, I can never be that good. Well, no, it's been 15 years. I mean, what do you expect? So that's kind of the stuff you got to realize is you can't compare, right? But put together your goal, put it together with clarity, right? And once you've done that, work it backwards. So this is where you fill in your schedule is the plan. You work the schedule in, the way you work it backwards from the goal to the actual execution and knowing how to do it is by putting it in your schedule. So if you say, well, I want to go out and help 30 families. Okay. So what does that look like? What will it take for you to help 30 families? And that'd be a question I'd have you guys all write down. What will it take for me to do X, whatever that goal is? What will it do? What will it take to help 30 families? So that being said, work it backwards. I'm going to dial on Mondays. Okay. Well, what does it take lead wise to help 30 families? So I don't know, Paul, what have you helped? 10, 15? Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll work that in. If you've helped 15, doubling the lead flow will get you to that point, right? And you'll actually do a lot better, because as you see more people and have more shots, there's a lot to be said about getting in the zone. You know what I mean? Like when you're just in the zone. I was watching NBA playoffs. I haven't watched it, since it started. Last night I threw it on, and Booker, I think it was Booker, that fool was in the zone. I was like, dang, dude, like the guy's a machine. He had like 4 threes in a row or something like that. Does he always do that? No. But when he's doing it, hey, get him the ball. Hello, pass it to him. And see, when you're in the zone, a lot of times it's easier to kind of step back and think, man, I'm killing it. I could do less and get a better result. No, that's when you go nonstop and run the scoreboard up, right? But when you get in the zone and you have more families to see, what you're going to realize is that it's not just a doubling effect. So if you double your lead flow, double your appointments to hit your double AP, whether that's going from 10 families to 20, you'll end up with like 27. I promise you it's the way it'll work. It's just the way it is, right? You start getting in the zone, you start becoming more mentally tough, you start becoming less, you stop caring so much about yourself. Like, man, I need to make this sell. I need it for me. I need it for whatever reason. It's self-serving. You start thinking like, man, it ain't about me. I got the deck stacked, right? Like, I'm good. I'm going to be fine either way. So then you start putting your eyes more on the client, not on yourself. And because you care about them, you connect better with them. Because you connect better with them, they open their minds. So they're more open to influence. Because they're more open to influence, your conviction will come through and they're going to be led by your thought process. They're going to buy. All those things start taking place when you're in the zone. So when you work the goal backwards, what leads does it look like? When are you dialing? Well, I'm dialing Monday and Thursday. All right, my question is this. When do you dial? What time is your first dial made? Is it 9? Is it 8:30? Is it 8? When is it? Could you do it 30 minutes sooner than you normally do it? Trust me on this. Like, this is where you build up that self-confidence. Because the reality is this. If anybody on your Paul, give me the number one attribute of the top producers or the agencies that are growing the fastest. I'd probably say confidence. They're confident. They have charisma, and charisma meaning that they've got confidence and they're able to connect well with people. So they've got confidence. Well, what does confidence come from? Well, confidence comes from preparation too. So like, if you want to be confident in hitting your goal, if you got a week that's planned out that based off numbers, because by the way, guys, numbers don't lie. So Landon, you can't beat the numbers, they can't beat you. You know what your numbers are, which means that you're in control because you know what they are. So you can scale it up, you can figure out how to hit goals, you can work it backwards. Like, that's the beautiful thing about this business. Because listen, I hate losing, and I hated that I sucked so bad in the beginning. But what I did realize was that I was only going to get better. And if I knew my numbers, if I had to make up for lack of my great a ratio that was better with other agents, right? They're doing twice as good as far as booking and selling. I didn't care. I would just make up with it with work ethic and going through more of the numbers. And what would come from that eventually is that my skill got better than theirs because I had more clients to see. I had more appointments to go to. So what initially it was like kind of sucked because I lacked the skill and it was easier for them. That actually served me in getting to a place where my ratio surpassed them because I had so many more shots and experiences. And that also built confidence because planning and preparing and understanding what it should look like, knowing the expectation, having that right, backed by having a lot of experiences, right? It builds that confidence up. So what I would say is, could you go 30 minutes sooner? I dial at 8:30. Could you go at 8? My first dial is at 8. Could you do 7:30? Just trust me. Just get a little bit better. Like, that's the reality. Like, so to the point of consistency, like, I put together this schedule, and I promise you, I didn't waver from it. Now, the problem is most people waver from it when they waver from it when it's going really good. Like they're just like, they're killing it. Like, you had a great week. Well, I had such a good week this week. Guess what happens next week? You sell your desire to hit your goal to compromise. You like compromise, buy it all up. So now it's like, well, I know I was down at 7:30, but I really want to do whatever. Or I really got to do this. And excuses or whatever way you could justify yourself to make yourself feel okay about it. Trust me, I know this because I did it. But you start saying, well, I'm good because, and then you don't start at 7:30, you start at 8. Or that last appointment, well, you know what? It's an hour and a half away. They're probably sleeping, or whatever you want to come up with, right? Or the door knock. Well, I don't want to go door knock because they're probably not there. Maybe I should just whatever. And you start to slowly compromise. And what you're doing is you're leaving the game plan. You're leaving the scoreboard, last week's great results or whatever. Or maybe it's the last day, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, you killed this, or Thursday, you start to compromise and you end up not having the week you could have had because you compromised Thursday. So Friday, Saturday's appointment count didn't look the same. Or maybe that's even recruiting, the same kind of concept, but you start to compromise. And then what takes place is the inevitable. Like, you're going to have some fall off, chargebacks or whatever. Maybe that week you have more fall off than normal. And then you also compromise. And then now you start to go in this doom loop where it just starts to go backwards. And then what happens? Well, then a lot of times you start looking at the results and thinking like, well, I don't know why it's not working now. Like this doesn't work. I had such a good week and this, and you forget, no, you compromise. That's just catching up with itself, right? Just catching up with itself. And for a lot of you guys in this business, if you've been here for like a year, 6 months, heck, if you've been here for like 3 weeks, this is a baby. Trust me, I'm not good at a lot of things. I got 5 kids. I know how to use this analogy. You can't leave them suckers for like 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like when they're first born, you can't just leave it alone for like 4 hours. It might die. Like it's brand new. It needs to eat. It needs a boob or something. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be fed. Right? It's brand new. Now, 6 months is a little different. You leave it a little longer. You know, a year, they might be able to survive. Like I think my boy Psalm, he could survive quite a while now. Now we haven't tested it because, you know, we want to keep him and stuff. But like he can survive a lot more than when he was 3 days. And then the 2, 3, 4. Heck, my 15-year-old, I mean, I could drop her off in Kansas in blindfold and she'll find her way back to California. She'd book a flight. I mean, like she's 15. So what I'm saying is like, that's how your business is. So in the baby stages, like you cannot compromise. You can't get away from the things in your schedule that's going to bring nourishment to your business. You just can't do it. You can't sacrifice that one appointment. You can't sacrifice taking, I mean, heck, you know what I see? I see agents take a week off a month in. Oh, good luck. Every time that's happened, they come back. There's a couple obviously chargebacks. They don't have any back-end commission for the last, you know, months 10, 11, 12 hitting yet because they ain't been here for 12 months, which that does soften the blow. Once you've been here 12 months, you have the back-end commission of that 25% that hits you. So it's like a 25% automatic organic pay raise, right? They ain't even been here that long to have that happen. So they take it off. They come back. They go, I got $2,000 in debt to pay. Oh my God, I got two. It's like, what'd you expect, fool? You're running a business. It's $2,000, by the way. Have some respect for yourself. Anybody else who starts a business, it costs them like $100,000 to start it, and most of them go out of business. This one's like almost an impossibility to go out of business if you just don't work. But yeah, okay, we got it. And then they you know, are less, you know, their attitude's off. So they call the leads and the appointments that they would have booked from the leads, they don't book because their mindset's wrong. They're negative, and so their mind's thinking negative. They get a negative outcome, and all of a sudden, it's just a doom loop. You can't leave your business. So when you structure your schedule, you can work this thing backwards. Trust me. Know your numbers. You're self-employed, which means what? As the employer today, my suggestion, guys, is put together your goals. I got goals for my, you see, if you hired an assistant, it'd be easy for you to have a goal for them, right? You know, you say this is what the goal is each week. You got to treat yourself as you're self-employed. You're running this job, the job of selling insurance, but you don't have an employer telling you what to do. If I hired you, be clear, if I hired you and I was going to pay you a salary, I would tell you what to do. I would say you have to be here at this time. You have to get this many resources. You're going to call in this time. This is how many door knocks you do. I would lay it all out. And if you're making good income, you wouldn't just not do it, right? You would not do it. Who here had a job before and you just like didn't show up for a week and didn't tell anybody? Like, I'm not gonna show up. It'll be all good. And you went back to next week and didn't say nothing, and they're just like act like nothing happened. Anybody ever had that happen? No, not me. I don't think it happens. But we sometimes we do that in our business. You just there's no plan. And I love this saying. It's like planning. What is it? Not planning is planning to fail. Something like that. Anyways, I used to say it better. Rami looks like he knows what he's talking about. He's trying to. I can't read your lips, Rami.
Yeah, you can fail to plan, but
planning to fail is failing to plan, right? Yeah, planning to fail. All right, so but that's the way it works. That's true, and it's catchy. So usually I remember, but you got to plan. You got to plan. All right, so you got to put the plan in place, and then you got to execute. The thing is this: if it goes good and if it goes bad, guys, it's just don't make a long-term like decision on what you're gonna do and adjustments you're gonna make based off of a very short block of outcomes. Like, oh, it didn't work this week. I bought $1,500 a week, you know, in leads this week and it didn't work. Okay, do it again. Do it again. It's 1 week. Law of large numbers. If I flipped a coin right now, I got a 50-50 shot to get a heads or a tail. If I flip it 4 times, is it possible I get 4 heads? Yes. It's actually very possible. Very possible. If I flipped it 6 times, am I going to get 3 and 3? No, not usually. I might get 5 and 1, 4 and 2, it's actually very likely I don't get 3 and 3 because it's just such a low number of flips. But if I flip it 5,000 times, it's almost going to be right on the money of 50-50 because I have enough numbers to support it. So think about the same way as you work your business, whether that's stepping into social media, recruiting, or whatever it is. The law of large numbers, let it prevail, right? And be consistent. Consistency is essential. Like where you're at right now, currently in your business, it's a sum total of all the decisions that you've made. And for some of you, like you're excited about that. Like I'm good where I'm at. Some of you, you're like, I'm not. Well, it's okay. The good news is it was all within your control. It's a small sum of all the decisions that you made, not somebody else made, but what you made. You said, well, that happened. And this took place. And I was born here and this happened. What are you talking about? Like it's your response to all that. Because if that took place, for every massive resistance and adversity or struggle that you might have been faced with that somebody else didn't, there's also a seed that would surpass whoever didn't deal with it that you've got the benefit of having if you just go ahead and change your environment, get around people that are going somewhere, thinking, podcasts, training, developing, growing, getting better, and then just start making different choices and taking back control of your schedule and your business. So I think that's essential. I know I beat it up, but that was a great question. This is, I think, and I believe the single biggest reason why people fail by far, or the single biggest reason why people get stuck. It's just a schedule thing. It's you got to plan it all out and then stick to it. If it'll work. Like I could wake up every day or every week. I promise you, like I said, this week, I'm going to write this amount. This week, my agency's going to do this amount. This week, we're going to have this many new writers. I could call it out every week. He said, wow, Paul, I didn't know you were psychic. No, it was numbers. Like I knew it because I had numbers, and numbers, you can't beat them and they can't beat you. So today, if you don't have goals for one that are clear, specific, detailed, get some goals and ask yourself some emotion evoking questions for those goals. Man, how's it going to feel when you hit that? Right? What is it going to look like? How's it going to feel when that goal is accomplished? And think about that emotion, that feeling of how it's going to feel. Visualize the behavior that you got to take to get that done, and you executing well at that behavior, at calling leads. I mean, I would see myself dialing leads, booking every appointment. Did that happen? No, it didn't happen. But did it happen a lot more because I had the right vision? Absolutely, it did. Absolutely. So prepare yourself, put the schedule in place, right? And then I think what's essential in the schedule also, Marie says, is having the calls, the podcast, the training, have that all blocked in. Make it a non-negotiable. Like nothing's going to come in the way from you getting on that podcast live. Nothing. Doesn't matter what it is. You're going to hop on that podcast live. You're going to take notes, right? I mean, I still think it's surprising to me, not because, and I don't say this as if like I've arrived or anything, but I'll be in a meeting and I'm taking notes still. And I'll look over to the right and left, and the person that's been here for 4 months or a year, they're not taking notes. I've been doing this 15 years. You don't think I've heard this before? But I'm paying attention to how they're saying it, why they're saying it, how they package it, why they deliver. And I'm also writing down because I need reinforcements and reminders all day, every day, right? I need my mind renewed daily. If I renew on Monday and I don't do anything to it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, by the end of the week, I'm thinking negative, dysfunctional, think the world's going to end, think I'm going to die of all these different elements. I mean, I got all kinds of crazy stuff I start thinking. So you got to do it every single day. So podcast business development's essential. Trust me, like if you're not writing any annuities, just spend another 3 hours a week on the AMS. Put in your schedule, not just fly by night, whenever you can fit. No, schedule it. Maybe that's Thursday nights after you're done dialing from 8:30 to 9:30. You watch the AMS podcast, or you go through the website. What you'll see is as you start to grow and get better at the AMS or annuities or IULs, you'll feel better. You'll feel confident. You'll feel more fulfilled because you're growing. You're getting a little bit better. You're getting a little bit better, a little bit better. And so when you're focused also on helping the clients out, and it's about them, not about you, that's also such a great dopamine hit because you're giving. Like, when you leave a client's house and they kind of give you that hug, or they're very appreciative, and it feels so good. And which is so crazy about this business, that you get paid what you get paid. It's almost like this career could be like philanthropy or whatever. Like it's bizarre. It could be like charity work, because you'll get clients that are so grateful that you helped them, but yet you get paid more than you get paid. I don't know where anywhere else for an hour's worth of work or whatever, right? So, but have in your schedule business development time, and then have in your schedule some personal development time. You got to grow your mindset. You got to think bigger. You got to have a different thought process, and that only comes from what you see and what you hear, right? What comes in your mind, what's developing it. So for me, every morning, and I've done this now for 15 years, I've got a routine where I wake up, I write the things I'm grateful for. I got a 5-minute, it's called a 5-minute journal. I put the 3 things I'm grateful for. I close my eyes, I think about those things, how they make me feel. I go back into this state of just gratitude. It didn't matter when I was getting sued for millions and millions of dollars, and I had to pay $20,000 legal bill, and we had no leads. I still woke up grateful. Because you might say now, well, Paul, you're grateful because, dude, you're an integrity partner. Like, it must be so nice. Okay, I hear you. All right. But let me just tell you, if I told you some of the things that we had to go through, I wonder if you'd be still excited and ready to take that journey on. But when all these things were taking place, I would still wake up, same thing. Think about the things I was grateful for. I'd write them down, I'd think about them, right? And then I go into and I pray out loud for 10 minutes. You can meditate. I don't think meditation is wrong. I think that's like, my wife likes drinking half caffeinated drinks. I think it's called half calf coffee. I want like the espresso shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me the triple. So I think like meditating is like half calf. I think prayer is like triple shot espresso. But I do the prayer and then I do the affirmation. So I start speaking the 2.0 version of myself because I'm not confused. Like it's easy to stay stuck where I'm at, getting the same results that I've got at every level. So you level up. Oh, it's easy to stay at that level. Why? Because it feels good and it's easy just to do what you've always been doing, and it's more comfortable. But if I continue to speak the next version of who I need to be and the attributes I got to have, and I can affirm and declare, that's a big deal. And I go through visualization. I visualize myself being the person that's accomplished those goals, what it feels like, what it looks like, what is it, what difference does it make, what difference does it make to other people. If I didn't do it, who would it hurt? If I accomplish it, who also benefits? So you go through that visualization, right? And I like reading and then working out. It's like a routine that I do, and it's for me, it's necessary for me to develop and get better so I can continue to grow. Because the reality is this: for all of you that want to build a business, you can't give what you don't have. So if you're not developing your value and developing values and the value that you've got and developing your mindset and your thought process, you can't give what you don't have. You cannot give the value you don't got. So it's your duty to develop that. And if you're selling, it's your duty to develop and become more valuable to your clients. Well, how do I do that? Business development, watching a podcast, taking notes, training, learning how to connect better with their clients, learning when they say this, how to best say that, how to tell a story where you can kind of get them on your wavelength by bringing them into a story, letting them emotionalize the story, and then supporting the story with logic. So that way they now can feel like this does make sense, and I'm moved by emotion. You learn all those things by all the podcasts and training. So I hope that makes sense. I know it was a very long answer to your question, Marie. So I got time probably for one more now. So I hope it helps that I stole all the time.
Well, no, thank you for elaborating and going in that deep, because sometimes it's like, oh, make a goal, but it's deeper than just make a goal. It's deeper than just follow the schedule, right? So you hit on all those smaller pieces that actually really, when you're moving the knob, so to say, they really do matter. So thank you for that. And I do have a question from Landon. It's, what systems can I start to implement in my business today to get my team on the road to integrity in the next 36 months?
Well, great question. What I would say is go help 40 families. Produce and promote. That's the best thing to help your team. If you go out and lead by example, by you just being out there nonstop, that's the one thing I took pride in, was like, I always wanted to earn the respect of the people I was working with. I just did. I wanted to be the person when they say, man, like he's working, like I'm better by watching his example. That was something that I just thought about a lot. Like I want everybody, it's like I have the staff here. I always tell them, like, listen, I want, even if you move on to a different career path or whatever, I want you to say, like, I'm better because I work there. Like I'm better because I work there. And so, for me, I wanted to go out there and help 40 families a month because it set that example. Also, what that allows me to do is allows me to feed the business. So I can now creatively think about where to put resources that maybe I would never think of, because if I don't have them, you don't think about them. You know what I mean? Like you don't think about how to go spend $10 million if you don't got it, right? That'd be weird. I got a whole game plan on how to spend 10 million. Like, where's it at? I don't know. One day, so like if you have it, now you start thinking like staff, more recruiting leads, more social media boosts and posts and how I can put money there. Maybe a competition, maybe helping, an agent here and there with leads, depending on where they're at and what they're doing. I mean, you think of stuff. Maybe I could fly this person in and recruit them, fly them in first class, get them a hotel, meet with this person that's over at this other IMO. That's, you can do these things because you've gone out there and created cash flow by your personal production. And the next thing is promotion. See, the best thing the team can do, it's not all the conversations you can have with them. Trust me. A lot of times that hurts the team. Why? Because it makes it seem like it's bigger than it is. Like this stuff ain't that difficult. Meaning that what? It means that if somebody on your team is not hitting their goals, it's not because of what you did do or what you didn't do. It's just because of their belief. And that's okay. But everybody comes in with a very healthy amount of doubt, disbelief. I don't know if I can, maybe not. Is there somebody can help me? I don't know if they could help me. Everybody deals with that stuff. Everybody. They're just trying to, and now if you're more marketing, somebody close that, has done it, that helps with belief. Like for me, I had my cousin and that helped me with belief because I was like, if that fool could do it, why can't I do it? I know him, like it's real. He wouldn't lie. But belief has to come not from just you having conversation after conversation. It's putting them in environments where they can build their belief. So when they're on a podcast and they're watching a different person, not yourself, and the next one that's another different person, all these, different people talking, it's like, it's just a compounding of stacking this thought of this is real. Look at all these, and this person, that person look different than that person's this age, that person's that age, that person is this ethnicity, this person, that's a boy, that's a girl. Like everybody, and you just start stacking it. And then the doubt starts to diminish. So your job, Landon, is to go out and be a great example to be followed and to be a great promoter. Like the road to integrity meetings, not a bad idea to get them people there. I'd rather invest $500 in getting somebody to a meeting that they're not going to be able to get to, maybe a meeting in the next 60 days because of where they're geographically located. I'd rather get them there than buy them $500 in leads. You say, why? Because if you have a very low belief, what do you think the result's going to be on the lead you're calling? It's going to be a lot lower because you get what you expect. If your stories, this probably won't work out. Maybe it will. God, I hope it does. I don't know though. What do you think that translates into as far as your behavior and how you say what you say? You find ways to validate what you're already thinking. Your life's moving in the strongest direction of your greatest thoughts. So if you're thinking these ways, you're going to go in and create that path to be smooth and just, you're going to coast right down that thing. Maybe like a berm you go down. So, if you could take a step back and be intentional with these things, it'll make a big difference. Production, promotion. What can you promote today? I wake up and I think every day, what's the thing? What should I be promoting today? I honestly got to think that every day. What should I be promoting today? The Road to Integrity meeting next Thursday is a great thing to promote. Another thing that's great to promote is the Kicks for Kids and the LA conference that's coming up on June something. I can't remember what day it is. June, maybe it's the 12th and 13th, I think. So that'd be a great thing to be part of. Get your team there. Get a couple people. Hey, we're going to go out to the Dream Center, make a difference. It builds camaraderie. When you're doing something that makes a difference, when you're giving and you're seeing impact and you do it with a group of people, that bonds people together, right? It creates that unity. So it's not a bad idea to come out and do some of that stuff. But that's how to answer that, Lenny. You want to just produce at a high level, be a great example. And that's just not production, by the way. That's also, like when you wake up, if you're up at 4 or 5 a.m., man, let your team know about it. That's a great example. There's probably someone in the team that's discouraged. Like, man, I'm waking up at 7. I know if I woke up earlier and make a difference. And then you start posting and like, man, and it motivates them. Like, well, he's doing it and maybe I could do it too, right? Podcast, take notes, heck, I take a picture while you're on the podcast. Great podcast this week on the TNL. Let's go. Remind the team, text, phone call, email, that kind of stuff, because that's how the team's going to get better. It's creating a habit of being on the calls, a habit of education, and that'll make the biggest difference as far as where they go and how fast they get there. So that's the answer I'd give to that one.
Awesome. And there's a lot of value in that too, Paul. I mean, I think that, I always say this, but one of the best things that, again, I don't know if you intentionally or unintentionally did, was always you motivated me to say, like, Marisa, you can go out and you can help 40 families a month. Like, you're not incapable of that. And by doing that, I never felt financially pressed after a certain point. And not that I felt free, but I felt like I could promote properly. I could do my job. I could help families, run my appointments, build my team, and instill the proper belief, because I knew if I was actually doing it, it actually worked. Because, all I did was work hard, right? So I think that whole essence of it does start with your personal production. If you don't have any cash flow, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder. And if you're not promoting positive things or things that you want to be repeated, it doesn't work. People feel like you're the magic when you're typically not, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So that was awesome. I appreciate you so much being on today, Paul. I know that I take a ton of notes and just jam-packed with value each and every time. And I do want to point this out to you, Paul. Every single time you do your morning regimen, by the way, because I've written it out somewhere, it's always the same. Like, so it's not like Paul just like pulled that out of left field. It's always the same, like in order. So it's like, if we need to get to where we're going, we have to make sure we have that same game plan. We have intention. We're working from a place of intention, not a place of I hope, right? So I just wanted to throw that in there. But I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on. It was a blessing to be on with you guys. My privilege, and so let's go out there and crush it. The thing that makes me the most excited is to see you guys hit your goals this month. And everyone on here, you have every ability to go out there and do it. Don't be moved by whatever last month was, or the month before. Forget all that crap. Who cares? Every single week, every day is a reset button. Being self-employed, that's a benefit, right? So hey, it is what it is. But what can you do now to move forward? And take a look, and what can you do today? There's a lot of day left. What can you do today that shows yourself that you're going to develop into the goals that you want to hit, to develop in the person you want to be, and have your action really validate that thought that you got to go out there and be that much